Greetings, everyone. You are listening to The Unconscious Brother, and I want to thank you for listening. Today, we've lost another life by the hands of the United States of America law enforcement. Now, this is a very delicate subject because we're talking about the loss of a human life. So I want to be very respectful, very brief, straight to the point. Is police presence meant to protect? And if so, whom are they protecting? And are they truly serving? And if so, whom are they serving? When you think of law enforcement, we all can gather what the concept of law pertains to. However, it's the enforcement part that puzzles me because it appears more often than not, the enforcement actually conflicts more trauma onto the communities than peace or resolution. I'm speaking from my experience and my perspective. You do not have to take my word for it. Just open your eyes and see for yourself. Also, side note, why do you think there is a lack of real black police officer presence within the black communities? Ask yourself this. And I know you may say, hey, there are black officers, right? However, I question that, and I'll tell you why. Mainly when you do see, to some, which may be very random acts of police brutality, though others know that it happens more often than not, a lot just goes unnoticed. However, when you normally see police brutalities transpiring, typically there is a black officer presence at times, not all the times, but at times there are. And I look at these officers as officers of the law for the law enforcement, not for the people's protection. Because these same black officers who may be present when there is injustice being done to a black citizen, quotations on citizens, because I generally would think that you wouldn't treat your citizen in the manner that a lot of these black people are being handled. Black officers typically are allowing these things to happen, or kind of there as if they're a bystander. I rarely see anyone intervening. So this is why I wonder, why aren't there any real black people protecting the black communities? It's a bit like this. So if, let's say you work in the Amazon rainforest, right? And yet you know very little about the Amazon rainforest. How can you truly navigate and associate yourself with the citizens in this area if you don't know nothing about which the community that you are there to quote unquote protect? You with me so far? Now, strangely enough, they take a lot of non-black people or a lot of black appearing people and place them inside these communities where they're supposed to know how to associate themselves in a manner to enforce a law to protect the citizens. However, they know nothing about the actual community or individuals within these communities, which poses a threat to both the community and the officers who are there to so-called protect it. Again, back to the Amazon analogy. How would I, someone who has never been to an Amazon rainforest, know how to appropriately navigate myself, appropriately understand the individuals within this community, their behavior, their mannerism, the way they talk, the way they go about their daily lives, if I have no experience with these people whatsoever? I pose myself, I'm a threat to them as they are to me, because if I don't take the time to understand properly how their culture works, the slightest incident could become more of a chaos or a nuclear reaction when it could actually be something very minor and handled very simply had I actually had some sort of understanding of the environment and the people within that environment. Does that make sense? So we take a lot of non-black people or black appearing people, place them inside of these urban communities, and expect them to understand how to behave accordingly to protect the citizens. That's the first strike. Again, my question is, why aren't there more real black police officers policing the black communities to actually protect and serve the community? Now, this is just my theory, and I'm going to stand by this. I believe the same way non-black police officers patrol non-black or non-urban communities and how they interact with these people in these communities, these non-black communities, how they are able to de-escalate situations in these non-black communities. They are a lot more effective. And I associate that with the fact that a lot of these non-black police officers can somewhat relate to the people in these non-black communities. Are you with me so far? Think about it. On average, or statistically, how often is domestic violence reported in these non-black communities and they go unanswered, right? And let's not even talk about the actual victims of domestic violence who are then still in harm's way because the police come, they de-escalate the situation, and they go on about their day, right? No one is murdered. No one is really arrested. Or if they are arrested, think about statistically how many women in non-black communities whom have asked for help and they were somewhat overlooked, right? Let's just say police have dropped the ball several times, because you do not have to take my word for it. There's documentaries out. There's testimonies. There are actual victims of domestic violence in non-black communities. And that's just a small piece of the puzzle that I'm trying to put together for you. A lot of times things go unnoticed in non-black communities because they are de-escalated by non-black officers, and hence the real victims are just the ones that are reported after the fact if the police do a piss poor job at protecting the environment or the community. Now, that's just my theory. I believe more black police officers should be, more real black police officers should be protecting, patrolling these black communities to ensure the safety of the individuals living within these establishments. So, apparently there was another black man whom was murdered by the hands of law enforcement today. And I see people are responding to it in a shocking or upset manner. So I say again, just to prevent all of these hashtags and just to prevent all of these rest in peace and justice for this person or justice for that person, why not let's real black police officers protect and serve the environment where the actual citizens are being murdered by non-black police officers. People who may truly understand the intertwines of such a community, the interactions and behaviors of the individuals living inside these communities who truly mean no harm to law enforcement. In fact, ideally, most black people are afraid of law enforcement. So that leads another question. Why are people whom pose no threat to the law are constantly being attacked, targeted, and enforced by the law? Keep in mind, the law enforcement is enforcing what law on these citizens? It seems like it's execution. I digress. Let's change the way black communities are being policed. Let's employ real black police officers to protect the citizens that are being massacred on the streets for nonsense. You've been listening to The Unconscious Brother. I don't know much. I only know what you're showing me, and it seems like a lot of bullshit. Stay safe. Stay blessed. I love you.